Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Cozy Mystery Mingle. I'm so excited. Today we have Amanda Flower with us.
Hi, Lisa. I'm so happy to be here. And we also have Gabriel, who's one of my kittens with us because he believes he should be the center of everyone's attention.
He should totally be the center. And Gabriel is one of 4 kitty siblings, right?
Yes. So the others are Junebug, Jedediah, and Willa. So those are the kittens that were born on our farm this summer.
Nice. Did they ever help you write by sitting on the keyboard?
Yes, they actually all do. And it is funny. I post a lot of pictures on my Instagram of them. Actually, my Instagram is just the cats. It's ridiculous. But, and there's a lot of pictures of a cat next to a keyboard or a cat on a mouse or on those. Because I usually write on a bed. So this is the bed up in my office. Because then I can just roll over and nap. So the cats will surround me while I'm working.
That's nice. I mean, that's what I do. I have a day, but I bought one of those laptop desks. So I made it so then the cat can go underneath. He likes hanging out underneath the laptop desk.
Yeah, I got one of those too. And I tried it once, but this one, as you can see, doesn't sit still unless he's asleep. So he went under it and I was like, oh, my laptop's gonna bite the dust. So I can't really, he has to be out of the room when I use it.
Got it. Maybe you can get I've seen those rugged cases, for people who work at construction sites.
Right.
One of those kitty proof laptop.
Kitty proof. Yeah. I was just moving them because there's a glass over here. I should never have liquids that are not have lids on them in my house anymore. With kittens.
You know what you should do? I bought those pretty ornate candle holders.
Oh yeah.
So I bought one of those, took the candle out, and now every time I have a drink, I put my drink inside there so they can't.
It just holds it. Oh, that's a good idea.
I mean, if they're very motivated, they can still.
Yes. It's more accidental because he's very so it's funny because I'm going to take my cup just to save the cup. The kittens are all different sizes, but he is a chunker. He's already 9 pounds and he's 7 months. And my vet, because the little girl kitten Junebug is 6 pounds, so she's tiny. My vet cannot believe. She's like, he's such a beast. I was like, I don't know how big he's gonna get. Honestly, I don't know what's going on.
Healthy appetite.
Yes, and he's just a big boy, and that's okay.
Yeah, kitty body acceptance.
Yes. He's very self-assured. He does not feel bad about his appearance whatsoever.
Sure. So I guess before we talk about your book, tell us a little about you and what you do and where you're at.
Yeah, I am a mystery author, of course, mostly known for cozy mysteries like the Farm to Table series. I've written a ton of Amish mysteries. So that's probably what I'm most well known for, the Amish Candy Shop and Amish Matchmaker mysteries. But I also have started writing historical mysteries. I would still consider them cozy because they follow the cozy edicts of no gratuitous violence or sex or anything in that regard. The subject matters, they're not as funny though. And I do like to write funny. So, and then I was a librarian for 15 years and, and then I retired from being a librarian in 2018 and got to write full time because my writing was doing well enough that I could make that decision. So since then, I've just been writing, and my husband and I own a farm not too far from where we live, and he has a recording studio there. And I rescue cats and I garden. So that's pretty much. And I also spend a lot of time with my nieces and nephews, but that's pretty much sums it up.
And you're living the dream life, just surrounded by kittens and cats all the time.
Yeah, surrounded by kittens and books and plants. It's pretty good.
I mean, I guess collectively between like all the cats at the farm and the cats in the house, like how many cats are you like taking care of?
16.
Wow.
So it's it, when we got up to 5, we're like, oh gosh, that's a lot of cats. We don't want to, and then it was just more and more cats were, either cats were dumped out. That happens in the country a lot. And then I would try to like catch them and spay neuter them, but some, like the ones that had kittens. And then, as I was mentioning to you, like the mama cat from these 4 kittens I had her litter was 6 kittens, and my sister-in-law adopted 2 of them. So like one mama cat can like really increase the population. So some of them are indoor, some are still considered ferals, and they don't let they're outdoor, and I just put food out and wave, but at least I know that they aren't they're all fixed and things like that, like because I trapped them. So I'm hoping that the population will stay stable.
Yeah.
16's good. Like our chewing is ridiculous.
It's an uphill battle. Yeah. And word gets out among the other cats.
Yeah. So like this is the place to be. You get like 3 square meals, and we have and the front of the studio is this probably my favorite part is like there's a massive front porch that's probably like 23 feet long and 10 feet deep. So like that's where the cats eat, and they have plenty of, I have beds out there and cat house. Like it's pretty. Aww. For a feral cat, it's pretty nice.
Yeah. I mean, people are always like, that question, what would you do if you won the lottery? I'm like, I would open up a kitty sanctuary.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes, because my friend sent me on Instagram like this meme or something she saw, like and it was like this person surrounded by cats, and she said she was implying that it was me, because it says if I won the lottery I wouldn't tell anyone, but there would be signs. So that's probably accurate.
That's been all my money.
Yeah.
Oh, Karen's here. I love that you've rescued so many cats. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. So, also we should talk about, before we talk about your book. So I found you, just like I'm a huge fan of your Amish Cozy Mysteries, right? Like I cannot get enough of them. So let's talk about, like, I was like, oh my God, Amanda Flower is not Amish. No. But you lived with them for a little bit.
Yeah, I was a librarian in Amish country for about 3 years. So that was kind of how I knew Amish people, or people that were, for the most part, a lot of the people I knew were like former Amish, or their parents left the Amish community and they were born not Amish, but they still went back and forth and stuff. So that was kind of my connection to it. And when I started writing, I wasn't writing Amish mysteries. I was just writing, contemporary cozies. And my agent and I were just trying to think of a different series that I could launch. And I mentioned that I lived in Amish country and knew Amish people, and she was like, oh my gosh, you should write about that. And I was like, okay. And, I never thought it would be like 30 some books later about Amish people, but I really have hurt the population of Amish country in Ohio, so I do apologize to all the Amish.
They're so good though. Like I like Amish stories, like Amish romances, Amish mysteries, but yours are by far the best. Like
they just make it
so much better. So I feel like you're just helping other Amish authors everywhere.
Oh, thanks. That's nice to hear. Yeah. I try to be, obviously there's, with any cozy mystery, there's a suspension of reality that someone's finding like 25 dead people over a few years in their lifetime. But I do try to be as honest about the Amish culture as possible. Like the good and the bad about it, I try like the issues that my characters talk about growing up Amish or being affiliated with Amish or things that I've really heard about from real, Amish people or people that were close to them. So I try to do that, but then of course add all my hilarious zest to the story too.
Yeah. And also the nice thing too is that I feel like everyone just likes Amish things because they don't try to convert you, right? They're just kind of like live and let be, versus the other religions are always like into this recruiting process.
The Amish are definitely, and even if someone does kind of it doesn't happen very often that someone converts into Amish. Like, it's super rare. And the only instances I've heard of is someone like really wanted to get married to someone that's Amish and they wouldn't become not Amish. It's it's probably really hard because it's such a tight-knit community, like that even when they follow all the edicts and stuff, they're still like, well, you're still different, so that kind of thing.
Yeah, very true. So let's talk. So we're talking today. You have a new release out, the Farm to Table Mystery. So you want to tell us about Crime in Cherry Pits?
Yes, I even remember to bring my book. So yes, Crime in Cherry Pits is the fourth mystery in this series. And it is set at the National Cherry Festival in Traver City, Michigan, which they hold every year over like 4th of July week. So this is set during the 4th of July week. And what happens is my main character, Shiloh, has a cousin named Stacy that she doesn't really get along with at all. And Stacy is dating this new fellow and finds out that he's married, which is not great. And she has a huge fight with him in front of everyone at the Cherry Festival. And lo and behold, he ends up dying. So now it looks like Stacy might have killed him. And even though Shiloh isn't Stacy's biggest fan, she's still her cousin. Stacy has a closer relationship with Shiloh's dad, Sully. So she's going to find out what happens to, because she wants to protect her cousin. And she also doesn't really think her cousin did it. She probably would think if her cousin was going to kill someone, she would just like shoot him out in the open. Cause like, that's kind of how Stacy is, just kind of like really loud and aggressive. And she would do it like in a fit of rage. And the way he, is murdered, they have at the Cherry Festival, this is true, a cherry pit spitting contest. It is a huge deal. It has a huge cash prize attached to it. So they take the cherry pits and put them in their mouth and see who can spit it the farthest. And he was in that contest, and someone before he put the cherry in his mouth poisoned it. So that's very premeditated. So she doesn't feel like Stacy would do that. Stacy would kill in a more of a like fit of anger. She wouldn't plan it.
And it's Stacy, and I haven't read the other ones. Is Stacy in the books from before? So
she is. Yeah, she's in every book. And she's kind of like, I would call her Shiloh's like frenemy. Like she's always there, always a thorn in her side, but she's still her first cousin, so she's gonna just kind of deal with her.
And so how is this book different from books, I guess, 1 through 3?
So this one's different because 1 through 3, Shiloh she grew up in this little small town in Michigan called Cherry Glen, and then her fiance, when she was 24, died suddenly and in a car accident, and so she fled, and she was actually worked in Hollywood as a true crime television producer for about 14 years. And then she came back because her father, the farm was going under, so she was going to help her dad. So she comes back. So the first 3 books are really set like on the farm. So this 4th book, they're in Traver City, which is the biggest city close to them, which is not very big. It's I'm trying to compare it. It's It's probably, the size of like an Ann Arbor, Michigan, or just kind of a smaller city, even like a suburb, I guess. It's not a very big city, but to that part of Michigan, Western Michigan, it is the biggest city. Um, so they're around a lot more people in this book because thousands of people come to the Cherry Festival. So there's a lot going on. When the first 3 books were really insular in this small town. So there's some new characters and things like that as a result.
Okay. And so if someone's just jumping in, because you know how sometimes your books are available in the library and some aren't, like if they just jump into book 4, what do they need to know going in?
Going in, really, like I think I do my best to kind of give you like the broad strokes of what has happened in previous books, but as far as the murder mysteries, they're all self-contained, so like I don't carry over any like murder situation from a previous book that one's been solved and they leave it in the past. So carrying over, I guess all that they would need to know is that Shiloh came back from California to save her family farm, and now that's pretty much what's the focus of the series, is how to make the farm viable now. So at this point, she's paid off a lot of the debt of the farm, and now she needs to figure out how to like actually make monies to sustain it. So she saved it from closing, but I think, and I mean, obviously my farm is on a much smaller scale, but I know that like you kind of have to be creative, like, well, how am I going to keep paying this property tax or whatever, that kind of thing. So that's why she joins the Cherry Festival. They do have a cherry orchard on their farm. So she's doing stuff like she's teaching herself how to make cherry soap and anything with cherries, because people come to this region of Michigan for cherries. So she's trying to tap into that. So that's what I would say.
I mean, in writing the series, because you're already on book 4 now, were you inspired at all to take your farm and try to grow things to sell?
I just haven't had the time. Like I actually, a long time ago, I was, asked if I'd be interested in growing flowers for like a florist there, which I would love to do it. But, it's just so time consuming for that kind of high quality flower that people would want to buy it at a flower shop, and the stem has to be strong enough. And so I haven't really looked at it, but maybe once I've rescued all the cats.
That's priorities.
Right now the cats are the priority, and they are not making me any money. They're costing money, but I love it.
Got it. All right. So let's go to Traver City. And have you actually been there?
I have, yeah. So prior to writing the very first book, I knew I wanted to set a book in Michigan, because it's a really, I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's a really gorgeous state with all the lakes and everything, and it's not too far from Ohio, so it's very drivable. So I sold the series, and then for me, it's really important to go where my book is set. Not so much, I can do all the like looking at maps and online and do all that kind of research, but just to kind of get the feel for it, the sound of how the people speak, that kind of thing. So my husband and I went in 2019, I think, for like a week to that specific area, and it helped a lot, and I think it changed. So now when I write the book and I think of Traver City, I in my head actually see the real Traver City instead of the skewed one I might have made up.
Oh, got it. Right. Is there, like, I haven't been there. I mean, I've been to lots of places in Michigan, but not Traver City specifically. It's right on the lake too, right?
Yeah, it's right on Lake Michigan. But they have like these two, like, it's kind of on a point. So they have two big, large bays, Grand Traverse Bay, that kind of surround it. But the bays are part of Lake Michigan. But so there's tons of like boats and docks and things like that there.
All right. It's not like a big part of this book though, right? The lakes and the boats.
No. In the third book, it was more dealing not with Lake Michigan, but there's a ton of lakes up there. So that one of the smaller lakes, they were doing an ice fishing derby on. So that was more like lake focused.
It's very lake focused, yes. Mm-hmm. So, okay, so you've been to the cherry festival. Is there actually a spitting contest at the festival?
There is, and it's a very big deal.
How does this work? Do you have to like qualify for it? Do people train for it?
People definitely train for it. I don't know what the requirement is to enter. I might have known it when I was writing the book, but I can't remember what the requirements were to enter the competition. But people take it very seriously. And so there's the one at the National Cherry Festival, but in the whole area, there's little ones at little county fairs. So people like work their way up to the National Cherry Festival.
Wow. I don't know why. Even when I'm thinking about like when I eat cherries, I know this sounds silly and very inefficient. I will eat around it like it's an apple.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, you don't want to choke on it, which is happens to my characters. Yeah. So,
I mean, how are you eating cherries?
I think what I do is like I kind of bite it in half, maybe similar to what you do, and then like I bite the other half off. I don't necessarily put the whole thing in my mouth.
Yeah, it's like so much work. It's kind of like there's another fruit too that has pits. I can't even think of it now. It's red. Anyways, it's small pomegranates.
Pomegranates. Yeah.
Those are so hard to eat too.
Yes, they're really hard to eat. And
then I hear about people eating seeds, and I'm like, why? They don't taste good.
Yeah.
So, anyways, okay. So, cherries. Do you like cherries? Are you a big cherry fan?
I love cherries. I've always loved cherries.
Cherry pies.
Cherry pie. If people go on my blog, I just shared a cherry cupcake recipe that I made. I try to share like one recipe a month. So I was like, well, I should do cherries because this book just came out.
Right.
And so one of the big things in that region is tart cherry juice. Mm-hmm. So it's very, very tart. And people think it has, there's been studies, but with a lot of things like that, it's not, FDA certified or CDC certified, but people think it helps their heart and all those kind of things. So they drink it a lot up there. So I did get some and try it, and it's if you ever try it, it makes you mouth pucker. It's very tart.
That's funny. Oh, Starry Night's asking, do you find living on a farm encouraging to your creative thinking and writing?
Yeah, I do, because I'm a very like outdoorsy person, and probably the difficult thing of being a writer is I'm inside a lot because I'm typing. So it's nice to have a farm because I do have an office at our farm, even though it's mostly my husband's recording studio. Mm-hmm. One of the bedrooms in the building is just an office for me to write. So I can write there, and then I can go outside and garden and try to catch a cat. So, and it's, in the future, I definitely hope to write a Cozy Mystery series about saving cats. I think that's like a no-brainer for me at this point.
Yeah, the kitty sanctuary.
Yeah, so I do get inspiration. And then at the back of the books, Shiloh always shares like what she calls our farm tips. And all of those things are actually things I've done at my own farm. So they've been tested and they've worked for me, like how she grows certain things, or I think in this one, it's her like soap recipe, and I've made soap before and that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Oh yeah. So in the first book, I did start reading it. So her dad's kind of resistant to her ideas and her tips. Is he still like that by the time we get to book 4?
I think he just kind of accepts it, but he's still like resistant. But I think he kind of like checked out at this point. He doesn't care. He's like, oh, I don't have to be responsible for anything. I can just sit in he has this little room in his farmhouse where he's like a big Michigan history and also especially like Civil War buff. So he spends tons of money collecting like memorabilia and books. So he can now he doesn't have to take care of anything except sit in his little office and, read about the Civil War. So he's happy. But when he does come out, he's just like kind of curmudgeon, grumpy, but lovable guy.
And we talked a lot about cats, but this book has a dog in it.
Yes. It's a pug, yes. Yeah. So I picked a pug. So Huckleberry's a pug. My brother has 2 pugs. Pedro and Paisley are their names. And I just wanted, because I knew Shiloh was going to be going around a lot as a farmer. You're on the farm a lot, but she has to go to farmers markets and things like that. And cats are not so amenable to travel. So I was like, well, she needs a pet that can go with her. So a dog seemed perfect. And since she's coming from California, because a pug isn't really what you think of as a farm dog. So she got this dog out when she was a TV producer in California, like a little lap dog. And now she comes back to Michigan where everyone has like these big hound dogs or labs and stuff. And she's got this little guy who's completely out of his element because he's really a Hollywood dog.
Aww.
Yeah.
Do you ever see dogs in your household? Or are you like a cat only house?
We've talked about it. I think at this point that we have so many cats, it does not seem feasible. The thing too is, I have to travel a lot for my books. And my husband works a ton. So it would be really like one thing about a cat, like my cat sitter can come over and feed them and then go about her day. A dog, you have to really plan for walks or board them. And so would be the biggest challenge for us. Cause my husband, he works probably like 100 hours a week. So like I basically take care of the cats.
100 hours a week. What does he do so that we can avoid that job?
Well, he has 2 jobs. He's a car salesman. He's like number 24 in the nation for Nissan. Wow. And then, so he's very busy. And then he also has this recording studio. So he's a very busy guy.
All right, then. Yeah. I mean, unless you got one of those like purse dogs and then you can take the dog with you everywhere.
Yes, that would be fun.
I always think about that.
Train one of the cats into be a purse cat.
Yeah. I see people in those YouTube videos, and who knows, it's just for the videos, right? They have the cat on their back or in a backpack.
Oh, I know. I've tried to take several of the cats out on a leash on the farm. And they just like flop over and pretend I'm like killing them. They're just like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. I was like, go back inside.
That's true.
Nice try.
I end up just carrying the cat.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
All right. So the Huckleberry, the pug. Oh, Shiloh. So I know this silly question, but are you a fan of Angelina Jolie? Is that how you came up with the name Shiloh?
Oh, so until you asked that, I never really thought about that before. One of my niece's names is Shiloh. So I would have to ask her. It's actually my husband's brother, and she's a teenager now. So they named their daughter before I even met my husband. So so I don't know if they were or not, but I just really liked the name after I heard it from my niece, and I didn't even think about that until you said that.
So, okay, well, let's talk about this Shiloh character. What do you love about Shiloh and like her characteristics that you really admire?
Let me get a drink of water.
Oh yeah, of course.
Sorry. What I like about her is that she's super loyal. She left her her life and her career in California to save the family farm, when she could have just let it go away, because that's what everyone else was kind of doing. I also like that she's curious and she wants to find out what really happened in these situations, which is, pretty much every amateur sleuth has to have that characteristic. But that's what I like about amateur sleuths. And just that she loves her family so much, and they're not always nice to her. So it's like she's so caring and loving. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, she has. I love that Stacy is like the anti-sidekick, right? She's like not helpful in the total opposite.
No, she is not helpful. And I mean, I've gotten reviews from readers like that they just really hate Stacy, and I would say, well, that's good. I mean, that you're supposed to not necessarily like her because she's not the nicest cousin you can ever have. But I think you have to be true to life. Like, not all your family members are fantastic, are they? So, and you still deal with them. So, just showing that in fiction, I think, is
fun. In making her. So does Shiloh have a sidekick that helps her at all?
Mostly just Huckleberry. So it's so Huckleberry, her dog, goes with her everywhere. So by this book, she the last two books, this and the previous one, she's been kind of flirty with a sheriff in the area. So in this book, she's like more questions. She's kind of talking to him and asking him for help or what he thinks and things like that. But like at all good cops, very reluctant to so she's on her own. Her farm, Chesney, who works for sometimes Chesney with stuff, was kind of a solo detective.
Nice. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing so much about your book. What are your writing plans for this year?
On March 26th, my Wright Brothers is called To Slip. It's historical, and it's written from the point of view of their Catherine Wright. So I'm super excited about that. Watchers that are in the Mid-Atlantic, publishers sending me on a tour to Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. So check my stops. I've never signed, so it'll be really fun.
And is that like, right? The ones that...
Yeah, who flew for them. So their sister was really involved, and she's kind of been lost to history. So it's kind of from her perspective.
We had a sister.
Her sister, she's 3 years younger than the younger of the two, right? And she was very and Cozy will be Bread Danger, which will be the 9th Candy Shop Mysteries. I'm still writing that series afterward. I'm still writing the Amish Matchmakers, and I'm just finishing writing the 5th book, final book, Mysteries. It is called Natural Barn Killer. They titled it. I can't tell you how long it took for I to like settle on a title. So Natural will come out next year. And then I'm still writing the Emily Dickinson mysteries. I'm super busy, and then writing and rescuing cats.
What's your favorite? Or do you like them all?
That I write? The most fun is Candy Shop. So those ones, I've written them so long. So the first book years ago. So I've been such a long that they're just fun. The one that I am most proud of is probably the mysteries. Because I could not stop for death, finaled for an Edgar last year. I won the Agatha for the one, also Agatha. So, because I want to be accurate ones, I'm like.
Okay. I guess tell us a little bit about that mystery and like what stage in life is.
Yeah, so Emily became a recluse around the Civil War, where she was like in her late 30s. So this is about 10 years prior. It's 1855. So she wasn't a recluse yet. She was out in society. She traveled like that. So if she to a time when she's so the first book deals with the Underground Railroad and the issue of slavery, and then the second book deals with Emerson that comes to stay with the Dickinsons, which he really did, and what happens when he visits, and then of course murder in it, of course, because that's right. What I do.
I didn't know she was a recluse. I mean, there wasn't even, what are you going to do?
Right. Well, she actually wrote 1,400 songs and saved, and there's probably evidence there probably were more, because if she didn't like what she wrote, she scratched it, she ripped it up and that kind of thing. So I know when I write a novel, novels are about words. By the end of it, 100,000 have to like. So I can't imagine how much more than that has. What's left behind is fantastic. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess so. Where find you? Like, are you active on social media or your website or?
Yeah, if you go to my website, there's links to all my social media, but I'm very active on Instagram and Facebook. So those are the places to find me. On Instagram, I think it's Amanda Flower author, and then on Facebook it's author Amanda Flower. But if you just search for Amanda Flower, I'm the first one to come to them. Instagram's super easy, so if you're not a cat person, you maybe want to prefer the Facebook. But on both places, Facebook, I share more of my like day-to-day life. And Instagram, I share mostly cats and cats with books.
I've been friends with people that don't like. I remember there was one friend I had and she was like, oh, I don't really like. Oh, I don't know if we can really be friends.
I don't think language.
Yeah. Sound normal. So, anyway, thank you so much for being here. If you of Amanda's books, including today's book, I suggest the Amish mysteries as well. Find them all things on Amazon, and she's everywhere. Cool.